Thank you, everybody. When I was thinking about, I suddenly realised when I was counting 3 years, and I thought, my God, I'm due a certificate as well. I wasn't really expecting that when I was checking everyone else's. And it made me stop and think about what it is being a local preacher. And it just sent me back, actually, to, and this sounds really odd, 2 bears that I've got at home. Some years ago, when I was in Lou with my dad, I spotted a bear. Now, I'm not really a bear-type person, but this one really took my attention. It was lovely. It was nice blue flowered material, very fat and sat there, you see. And I just kept looking at it, and Dad actually bought it for me, which was quite a miracle, really. Not known for his generosity in some ways. And I took it home, and it used to sit on the sofa. And then I found my other bear that I had, that my mum had made me when I was about 3. And I remember it because I spotted this furry gold material in the wardrobe, and I wondered what it was, and I was told it was nothing to do with it. And so he's very old. His growler doesn't work. He's bald more than he's got fur on. Part of his nose is missing, and although he's got both his eyes still, they're a bit wonky, as are the joints. They keep going round. And it was interesting just thinking about these 2 and thinking about being a local preacher. Now, when I can remember the day when I was at Tribullet, and it was Peter Coombe taking the service from Callington, and it was a lovely sunny day, and I just felt as if the finger of God had touched me. And I said something to Peter as he went out. And he said, perhaps you're being called to preach. And I thought, no, that I don't want anything to do with it. I thought it was a step too far of getting involved in Methodism. I'm not really into the hierarchy of the church. But eventually I did say yes. And here I am now. Now, really, I'd like to be like the perfect blue flowered bear. That's how I would like to see myself. But when I looked, in all honesty, I thought, no, I'm like the other one. The one that hasn't got much fur on it, that's been knocked around a bit by life, and a bit worn out. My voice is not as good as it was since COVID or wearing masks. And so I had to accept the sort of person I am. I'm not perfect. And Liz Miller mentioned something this morning in Tribullet about feeling as if you're an imposter. And I've often asked myself, who am I to preach? What right have I got to preach? And yet for some reason, God called me, and he uses me. And I realised the bear that's got all the damage is because it's been loved so much, been dressed up so much in different clothes, and he's just been loved to death. And I thought, yes, God loves me so much that he tends to want to use preaching or whatever he would call me to. He sees my imperfections in the same way that other people do. But his love is so special that he's there all the time. And for some unknown reason, he chooses to use me in this way. Now, a friend said to me some time ago something called the Velveteen Rabbit, which I know a lot of people know about. And that's of two toys in a toy room in the nursery. And one was an old horse, and he was very brown, and his coat was worn and bald, and his tail had been pulled out by the children. And then he was talking to another toy, and they were discussing the reality of being a toy. Do you get thrown away when you're of no more use? A bit like, I think it's Buzz Lightyear, ended up being discarded because he didn't quite fit the latest toy. And so the horse talked about being real, and wondering what real is about was the other toy's asked question. And the horse said, it's because of the things that happen to you that make you real. You become the person that you are meant to be. And so the other toy asked and said, well, how did you become real? And he said, it was the boy's uncle that made me real, and that was many years ago. Because once you become real, you can't undo it. And the rabbit, which was the other toy, sighed. And he thought, gosh, this is something that's really magic. And he really would like to be real and have it happen to him. And yet the idea of growing shabby and losing his eyes and whiskers was rather sad. And he wished that he could become real without all these uncomfortable things happening to him. And that could be, for me, you can look at how God has used you and just think, but am I real? And God does use real people, people that have experienced different things in life, with all of our imperfections. And I know that I have those imperfections too. And I'm just so grateful for the way the Lord just uses me way beyond I ever think, and how he just moves things into place. Richard and I were talking at the beginning of the service about the verse he read about being old and grey, and I said, but that goes in with what I'm saying, you know, and we haven't talked about it. But that is God working, and that's just, to me, is always amazing to experience that. So I want to thank everyone for their support over the years, and just for helping me, as I have a ministry amongst you in the same way as you'll have a ministry with me as well. So thank you.